We're doing outstanding Friday, May 2nd, 8:58 a.m. on this fine morning. Talk quick about the market, some names. I'm looking to go from there. S&P futures in the green. Oh, S&P is up about 1.2%, 1.1% here after the stronger than expected April jobs report. Oh my gosh, 177 jobs created versus 138K estimates. And then the unemployment rates stood pat at 4.2%. So back to back strong, unexpectedly strong jobs reports, right? I mean, last one, it was all about like the government jobs, right? That was going to tank the markets. The jobs reports going to be horrible. And then this was, the tariff situation, scaling back, cutting, just so that story hasn't played out yet, right? So pretty impressive stuff. And you take a look at futures just soaring on the news. I don't even know if it's a relief, really, right? Looked like we were green already at the open, well, in the pre-market, but it just kind of gives more ammo for the Fed, right? It's not like the economy is struggling too much. So, well, I mean, we still have things to go right. I make a joke, right? Because uh, the what's his name, Navarro said that the GDP was the best negative GDP read he had seen his entire life, and it's like this is the best jobs report amidst the negative GDP number that I've seen in my entire life. So kind of comical. I mean, taking joking aside, right? You can make the case that if the GDP you take out the import side of things, obviously, I mean, it could have been plus 2%, right? But it wasn't, right? It was negative, right? And negative GDP is not a good thing, but it might be distorted a little bit. So that could give the markets a little, a little glimmer of hope that either, well, I mean, it's probably not going to be revised into the positive because if anything, it's probably being more negative because more imports are factored in. But as coming next month, as it's kind of like people using the term borrowed, right? The economy's kind of borrowing from the future, borrowing instead of getting orders coming in the summer or for the fall, they're front loading them, right? So anyway, we'll see how that all plays out. Amazon talked a lot about that on her conference call, and now it's kind of like a waiting game for Amazon. How many months of supply does some of these vendors and sellers have? Uh, So for now, some positive spins. Apple after the close too yesterday cited a possible $900 million hit if the tariffs stay in place for second quarter. I mean, you take a look at their profits; it's like a um, fart in a breeze, a drop in a pan, whatever you want to call it. And they also talked, if anything, that's kind of pushed forward plans to get some of their production out of China into India, and that was happening anyway, right? But with the trade war back in 2018, you see some of these other retailers have done that. So anyway, so it's kind of some size of relief here. Markets up, S&P's up 8 days in a row, up over 8 point some percent over that time frame. Biggest 8-day rally since November 2022. No, November 2020, after the COVID. Uh, we'll see if this continues. Short, pending any shenanigan headlines, you have to think this continues. Also, some more positive developments, right? The China overnight with more comments saying, "Hey, we're ready to talk with the U.S. if they're ready to be serious." You have to think there's a deal, a pause or something's going to happen. You have Bill Ackman this morning saying, "We have time. Time's on our side right now. Do a pause with China." So you have to think that's coming. It's like the writing's on the wall. So I keep saying, if I was a betting person, I would bet that there's going to be some headline where we're going to have a pause, whether it's today, over the weekend, and then over the weekend it's all the headlines. And POTUS reads he reads all the publications. He may not tell you he does, but he does. And the headlines are all going to be about this negative GDP growth, right? It's going to be everywhere. So, all right. So that's the overall market. Over its 50-day moving average on the SPY for the first time since the end of February. So that's a good sign here. Now 570 on the SPY. That's in play. That'll be next big resistance. Do we get there today? I mean, it'd be a stretch, but that'll be that. And then the VIX melting lower. Again, similar. I mean, it's only April, start of April low. So hopefully that starts to continue and eventually under $20. And now some individual names. So Roku at this time last week, Friday during the day, I added some strikes into this week for the earnings. Then Tuesday, it gapped, ran to 71 and change. I was able to close some of the calls out for over 100% to cover the costs with some profits. And then I held the rest into earnings. And then Roku's doing what it always does. Reported a great quarter. I thought it was a great quarter. And then just a notch down on their guidance for the full year. They also pretty much said that tariffs isn't really going to have a big impact on their business. I and here it is, just getting pummeled here in the pre-market. The more I start looking at the story and stuff, it's like I think the bears are pricing eventually that Roku's going to stop growing, right? And then if that happens, then the valuation kind of makes sense, even lower. I just don't think that's the case, right? So it's still single to low to mid digit growth they forecasted. And then it's about the profitability. So I mean, again, the platform monetization revenues where it's at 54% margins. I I want to kind of put it on the do not trade list. I wouldn't rule out a bounce here. You have Needham reiterating their buy rating, $88 price target this morning. I'll be patient. If it does bounce, maybe I'll do some spec lottos. But another one of those names that maybe I'll try and put on the do not trade list in the coming weeks until their next quarter. That's Roku, and then XYZ, and I did the similar setup plan with Roku with XYZ that I did with Roku. Got the calls at the start of the week. Was hoping for some follow through over that 50-day moving average at 59, or actually it was 50, now it's 58.34. It was 59 to change earlier. I really couldn't break through, and then coming into Wednesday when the market when XYZ was selling off, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to get my calls out to lock some in to cover costs and ride some into earnings. And then yesterday they were somewhat green for some of the day. I wasn't as convicted in XYZ as I was in Roku, so I didn't want to have a extremely disappointing Thursday evening, so I closed those out for a small gain. I actually was looking at possibly some like May 1675. Thankfully, I didn't add those, and that one's getting pummeled. And you look at XYZ, it's like they announced a big miss, and then they said, "Oh, we see a big growth slowdown." But to me, it's almost like they're using the tariff situation as like a crutch, because you look around the rest of the names that are reporting earnings, and they might have a little bit of blips, but they're not blaming it really on the tariffs. They're saying, "Oh, it's manageable. This is what we're doing." It's like XYZ is pretty much. It almost looks like, hey, maybe they didn't execute, So that's a little concerning. That one I'm definitely putting on the do not trade list. And I was very bullish at the start of the year. Played some nice calls for profits back at the end of last year. And then you look at it's kind of like got that little play on crypto too. But I mean, now you start to think it was cut in half since February. It's like maybe deservedly so. So I'll probably stay away from that one from now. Other names, I mean, still love the GLP-1 space. GPCR got an upgrade as well. Initiation from Citi this morning, $60 price target buy rating, up. I don't know how many days in a row it's up, but still like this one for a move into the mid 30s, if not higher. I'll lock some more of my Mays in today and look for some later dated strikes because I think there's M&A coming. It's especially now these names are starting to move higher off of multi-year lows. You have to think Pfizer announcing the earnings and stuff that they're going to do something quick. Now, same with VKTX. Pretty much flat yesterday, despite the LLY destruction. So I think that's a good sign. Still like this one for higher, still over 50-day moving average. Might look to get some more strikes further out to add to my 32 calls. Not much here to add on GME. Strategy reported earnings, just all bullish on crypto. And then you look at GameStop. I'm waiting for it to do its golden cross. It's like 13 cents away. It's been 16 cents, 7. So maybe today's the day if you can get some wings and rally. You have to think into the 29s would do it. Not adding anything here. And then some other names I keep talking about being somewhat a little aggressive on the call side. Or put side on Fridays because the premiums have been excessive in the option market. Obviously, those have come down a little bit, but I still might sprinkle some lotto trades, the Wayfairs of the world. So you look at Wayfair yesterday. I thought it'd be up more based on its earnings and considering all the tariff headwinds, but only up 3%. This morning, you have Morgan Stanley cutting the price target, but still keeping their bullish rating on the name. I think it trades above 35 today and then possibly into the 40s next week. So and and you also have the possible backdrop at some point Vietnam's going to announce the deal. If that happens, trades substantially higher. So calls are a heck of a lot less expensive now that earnings happen. So a lot easier to play the options on a risk reward basis. That's Wayfair. Hang on a second. Let's see here. I don't know if my audio went out. Oh, okay. And then just quick, some other names. I mean, obviously Reddit. I was looking at Reddit the last couple of weeks, traded for some monster gains last week, and then looking at the premiums into earnings. I'm like, it's up quite a bit already. I wasn't sure that I'd really have the follow through, and then sure enough, post a monster quarter, monster beat and raise, all the way up near 140 in the after hour session, but it's come down. It's down here at 120.24 now. I mean, the company's growing 60% on a year-over-year basis. Just bullish commentary around monetizing ads on comments. Just a lot of great things they're doing, and it's amongst a competitive sector. They're by far the best growth in that sector. So you have to think this trades up into the 135, 140 range by the end of the day. So depending on the premiums, might look for some spec lottos there. Biogen reported earnings after the close yesterday. One of these earnings is going to send it. I mean, this stock has been destroyed over the last year and a half, along with most of the other bio names. But if this starts to get some wings this morning, maybe over 123, I'm going to get some calls for a move over 135 plus. And then travels it gapped out of the open, was 15. I think actually it hit 16 bucks right at the gate. And then it just was trading around 15 into the afternoon and it just melted for the rest of the day. Still like this one for 20 bucks. Again, it's one of those under the radar names. I don't think most know about it. So it's just kind of been somewhat illiquid trading. Maybe people taking profits from its move off 11 bucks over since the start of April. But if it holds here and maybe it trades 14.50 or so, I'll look to add some more strikes. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.